Well, Coach, I know that you set expectations for this team at the start of the year, and you wanted to be in this championship game. How excited are you to have this opportunity again coming up Saturday?
Yeah, it's great to have the opportunity to play for a championship. It's always what you go into the year hoping for and striving for, and guys have done a good job. It's been a long physical year, and now we're in a position to have the opportunity to go and compete for the conference championship.
We talked last year about how unique it was to play Boise State 2 weeks in a row. Now you play them really for the fourth time in a year with a lot of the same players on both sides of the ball. How do you make sure that becomes an advantage for your team, your familiarity with that opposition?
Well, it goes for both teams, really. So I'm not sure that it's such an advantage because both, going there though is not new to us. So you know what to expect, and we know what a challenge it is to go and play in the hostile environment against a great football team, and so we have to have a great week of preparation and do everything we can to go there and compete our best and let it all hang out.
The last trip up there just 3 weeks ago, you're up 17-3 in the third quarter, and they really go intently to the run game and tried to make it a more physical game, and they end up coming up on top. Is that a challenge to your team to be able to stop that element of the game this Saturday?
For sure, yeah. No doubt about it. I think they did it again this last week. I think the running back had 200 yards rushing this last week. They have a very good offensive line. The back is really physical and talented, and saying you're going to stop it's a lot easier said than done. He's a big physical guy, and they do a nice job with it, and so it's a challenge, no doubt about it.
Coach, can you reflect on just, I guess, the spirit of your team, the fact that they were picked to be in this position, and that's a different situation than they were last year where they were picked to finish at the bottom of the conference, but they go out with that expectation and, it followed up with another 10-win season.
Yeah, there's different challenges from last year to this year. Like you mentioned, the expectations were fairly low last year. This year, you go into every game with a target, on your chest, really, and so it's a different challenge each week. But so far, proud of how our team's handled it, and we're in a position to go compete for a championship, and that's what you start out to do. And but yeah, there's a tale of two seasons for sure. On your first year here, trying to build and try to learn and try to establish the standards on which we do things, and but then obviously this year went into it with a little bit different expectations, and but here we are, and now we have an opportunity to go compete for a championship.
Given the other group of 5 scenarios, is this possibly the biggest game in program history in recent years?
I don't know. It's a game. It's a championship game for us against a great football team. The big picture, if we take care of the little things, typically the big things take care of themselves, and so we really have to focus on one day at a time, and one meeting at a time, one practice at a time, and then when we get to the game, one play at a time, and not get too caught up in everything else. There's enough to play for this week to, all the different scenarios and all that kind of stuff. We don't need to get caught up in all that stuff. It's just, this is a game that's going to be a huge challenge for us, and we understand that, and you have to play your best, and if you want to have a chance to be successful against Boise at their place.
The phrase that's often said is it's difficult to beat a team twice in the same season. Why do you think that is, and is that something that you'll kind of tell the guys, or maybe lean on that experience of what might have been in that last game?
Well, I think there's lessons to take from every game, and it was a very close game, and we made some mistakes down the stretch and things like that we would hope to learn from and not repeat. But like I said, they're in the same position. I mean, they're playing us, and they have a great team, and I'm sure there's things that they feel like they could have done better in that game, and any good football program, I think, you take the lessons learned and you move on, and and they're very well coached. They have a lot of talent in all different areas, and they're a great football program, great team. So fairly evenly matched, and it's going to be a battle.
Coach, do you think they're better now than they were when you faced them, and also are you guys better now than when you faced them?
A few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. They're, watching them play against Utah State, very solid in all areas. I think every team tries to improve week in and week out, and I don't really know about that. I mean, you strive to be better every week, but really the game tells. It's where you are and what you're about. But I have a lot of confidence that our team will prepare hard, and we'll go and we'll compete every play, and it's going to come down to making plays and limit them from making plays. And that's the goal. And so it's a football game. It's going to be a very physical, tough football game, and so we're going to prepare our best and like I said, go let it all hang out. This is for a conference championship, and this is what we work for, and so we can't overdo it, though. As far as emotionally is concerned, there'll be enough emotion going into the game, I'm sure, that we have to make sure that we play smart and we play disciplined.
Coach, where are you health-wise at this point? 12 games played, bumps and bruises. Are you going to be at 100% or close to 100%?
Well, as far as after playing this many games through the season, yeah, I mean, there's always bumps and bruises and guys playing through certain things. I don't think that's anything unique to any team, and they're probably in the same position, but there's a lot of competitors on both sides, on our team and on their team, and I'm sure everybody is in the same boat, so and we've had guys all year long having to play through certain nicks and bruises and sprained ankles or whatever it may be, or that's just a part of football. That's where you're at in the season, and so we'll be as healthy as we can. We'll make sure that we practice smart and go into the game fresh, and try to have everybody at 100% the best we can.
Coach, Boise State had to win two very tough games to get where they're at against Fresno State and Utah State. What did you see from them that has really stood out about their team in November?
Well, they're the same Boise State team as always. I think it's they're very talented. They have a great quarterback. They have a really strong receiving core, very good offensive line, big physical running back, very sound defense that fly to the ball, and very well coached. And so they're all around a really good football team. They're very good on special teams, and so it's not a surprise they are where they are. I think everybody understands that they're an excellent program, and it's a great opportunity for us to go and compete against what has for a long time been one of the elite teams in this conference.
The conference championship concept's still kind of new relatively for Fresno State. Can you describe what it was like watching Utah State and Boise State play Saturday night and seeing who you're going to be facing?
It was just watching it, go back and forth. Again, Utah State's a good football team as well, and it's had a great season, and it could have went either way, but again, I thought Boise State did a really nice job of doing what they needed to do, and in all areas, they threw the ball well, they ran the ball well, they were very hard to stop, and Utah State couldn't make enough plays offensively. I thought, really, if you take away, whatever it was, a 85-yard screenplay that Utah State had in the fourth quarter. I thought Boise State's defense did a pretty good job of shutting them down.
San Jose State's defense gave your team some challenges the other night, and some of it mirrored what Boise did. They were able to get to the quarterback in that game on the blue turf, and San Jose did early in this game. But you guys made some adjustments, and I'm wondering if the way Keyshawn Johnson was able to get open in that second half, when you're max protecting and you're limiting the routes that you're actually running against a really good corner in Dakari Monroe and a secondary that had played well, does that open up a new dynamic for your passing game, an option that you guys can go to if you face similar challenges here Saturday?
No, every week's different. Every defense and their philosophy and what they're doing is different from week to week. And so, sometimes you have to make adjustments on going in if somebody does something different than what they showed in the past or what have you. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit last week in long yard situations and with some penalties and a fumble when we converted a third down and but still at the end of the day we had over 500 yards of offense and was able to come back, and it's a 4-quarter game for a reason, so I was proud that our team didn't panic at all at halftime. We didn't play our best in the first half, but made the adjustments needed to come back and do enough to win, and that was the name of the game. We knew in those type of rivalries you can throw the records out. Those things are so emotional, and those guys did a nice job. I thought San Jose did a great job and they've been playing a lot of close games against some good football teams. So I wasn't surprised at all about the level of competition and what we were up against. Knew that going in, but thankfully in the second half our defense continued to play well, and we made enough plays on offense to get a win.
And you mentioned taking care of the football. Jared's fumble, Josh's fumble. You hadn't had a turnover since the UNLV game until those. How much more important is that going to be if you face some cold and maybe even snowy conditions on Saturday?
Well, it's always important. No matter what the conditions are, turnovers are key, and that was really unlike us the other day to have that happen. But, field position, turnovers, whatever the environment's going to be, you hear rain, you hear snow, whatever it is, both teams have to play in it. And, but ball security is always a huge factor in what goes on, because typically it has a lot to do with field position and scoring opportunities. So ball security is definitely at a premium.
And with regard to your last trip up to Boise, I realize you overcame some of the early struggles to hold a 17-3 lead in the third quarter, but those penalties early, maybe because of the noise, the false starts that you guys experienced, is there a plan to prevent that this time around now that your team has been in that environment, experienced what that crowd can be like?
Well, yeah, we're gonna do our best. I think each and every week, you watch a tape. I just watched a Utah State tape, and there's 3 false starts there. And you can work it, and you can work it, and and so we're gonna do our best to make sure that we focus and we don't have that happen, because it's one of the louder places I've ever been in, and so they do a really nice job. And but focus is going to be at a premium, to make sure that we don't have that happen. But each and every week you see the same thing on tape, and but yeah, we're going to do our best to try to stay out of those situations.
Lastly, what is your message to the team this week? How do you try to frame up this opportunity and have them in the right frame of mind to do what you're trying to do?
Well, we know where we are. We know it's a championship game, and we know who we're playing against and what a challenge it brings. And it's just about preparation every single day. We're not going to get caught up on, you have to peak at the right time, and that's at kickoff. And so not going to get caught up every day and beat them over the head with what this game is. It's one day at a time, the practice, the preparation, the meetings, that type of thing, and that's really how we always are each and every week. And, this is really no different, Like I said before, if you do something different this week, you should be doing it all year long, So I think our kids know how to practice and they know how to prepare and they know what the challenge is ahead and they know the opportunity and so it's just a matter of having a great week of preparation and being as fresh as we can going in and as healthy as we can.
Any last questions for Coach Tedford?
Coach, you had explained at the last trip to Boise that Jameer Jordan had some trouble breathing and wasn't able to participate to a great amount. Is there any extra precaution or expectations of what he'll be able to do this weekend?
No, I think that was because he had a cold, and he just had, it was just that he's never had that problem before, so I think it was just a situation that he was under the weather a little bit, and that's really what the main reason was. So I don't anticipate that again.
All right, well, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.